Oh, look who's here.
Hey guys.
Hey. How's it going, Austin?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, man, finally, we're all together in the same room.
A long time.
I know. I know. It's been a long time. And you did it again.
Totally.
All right.
Yeah, I'm broadcasting from Denmark right now.
Oh, yeah?
So it's nice to be out of the city. It's so hot.
Oh,
there.
wow. It is, right?
Hot.
You want to come in Texas and see how hot it is?
Oh, yeah. I shouldn't be complaining, actually.
Yeah. You don't want that experience, man. Last week we had the AC out and it was cold. It was cooler outside than inside the house. So, yeah. So you're good. All right. Welcome, guys, to our little island. And, man, I watched the trailer like many times and
Cool.
I can't wait. I wish you guys gave us like some special link. I want to watch this movie now. I can't wait till like August 2nd. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
that's pretty dope.
Yeah. So whose idea was it to delve into a Spanish flu in 1918 and write this?
I think it was a joint birth. We were a few years ago we found ourselves like everyone else with plenty of time on our hands, during COVID. And one of the things that became apparent to us, in the early days was that it was kind of in New York City. It was a tale of two cities. The rich fled to their palaces, and everyone else was sort of trapped in town. And we were just looking around, and we had the idea together, what if one of the staffs of one of these families decided to exploit their isolation and take over the house? So we saw it as an opportunity for dark comedy, in part to maintain our sanity during all of that. We wanted to find some humor.
Yeah, and when we were researching the Spanish flu, it felt like the parallels were uncanny, and that was something that most people don't know about, and we found that fascinating. And in diving deeper into it, the parallels beyond the Spanish flu itself are pretty uncanny as they relate to class struggle and how divided our country is. And so there was something about setting the film during that time that we found early on that allowed our themes to resonate on a deeper level. And that's another reason why we chose to set the film during the Spanish flu.
No, it was a genius idea to set it up there. But correct me if I'm wrong, Austin. Remember last time we talked, we asked you, and this was way before COVID. And then we were like, what's your next project? And you mentioned doing a period film. And I think you mentioned something, the Spanish flu. I could be wrong, but it was like a coincidence.
I think I was already working on. I think Joseph and I were already working on this then. Just to give a little background, Joseph and I grew up in New York City together. We've been friends since we were like 6 years old, and we'd been looking to work on something together for many years before this came together. And it was just when COVID hit and we were all just stuck inside doing nothing, and our projects were on hold. It finally gave us the time to be able to sit down and finally do something together. And that's how this was born. But I think when we, going back to your question, I think when we originally spoke, it was in 2021. It was right after the God Committee had come out. And I had written the God Committee pre-COVID, but it felt very relevant at that time because it was dealing with, a group of surgeons who had to make a life-saving decision about which patient deserves a heart. And, there were certainly parallels there to that time as well.
Yeah, that was a gut-wrenching movie, man. I remember after we talked, we watched the movie. I watched it like twice or something. And my wife, she works in the health stuff in the emergency room. She's a nurse. And she watched the movie with me, and I was like, how accurate is this? I mean, this is crazy. I mean, who decides who gets the thing? And she's from New York, too. She was like, cool. That's New York. Anything happens. That was, yeah. And that's for awesome. COUP, what's his name? Peter Sarsgaard? That was how did you guys pull that off? I mean, that guy is he fits everywhere. We were just talking about it.
Joseph, you
whose
want to take it?
idea to
Yeah,
cast?
no, I think I froze for a second. Believe it or not, as we were writing the script before we even approached him, and you try to visualize what these characters would be like in flesh and blood. We were imagining Peter, because he has on the one hand this cerebral intensity, as if the gears are always turning, and this mischievous side, and he also we also thought the exuberance of that character of Floyd would be a nice contrast to other a little bit more reserved roles that he's played in the past.
Yeah,
And then we broached him, and by some miracle he said yes.
I mean, from the trailer, he looks like a psychopath. Like just watching the trailer, and I was like,
Yeah, he plays a pretty dark character, but it's also a very fun character and colorful character. One of the things that was interesting about casting him is that it feels like Peter is often playing these very quiet, subtle characters, and Floyd Monk is nothing like that. And so it was really exciting to put him in that role and give him something that people aren't necessarily used to seeing him do.
yeah, the last role he was, or at least the last thing I saw him in was in Batman. He was in Batman, the recent one.
He was in that.
And when it was like jump right into this one, I was like, okay.
Yeah, he had a film called Memory that was out this year, which is where he plays a man with dementia, and with Jessica Chastain in it, which is a really powerful, well-acted film. It couldn't be any more different than this. I mean, in terms of it's just a really hard-hitting drama, and this is fun, and we're not taking ourselves nearly as seriously.
No, you did good. I mean, like I said, the trailer was like just eye candy. We watched it like several times. I was like, I was trying to watch the movie just by watching the trailer. I was like, I can't wait. Why are you doing this to us? I want to watch this now.
That's cool.
Right. Go ahead.
Sorry. Is this film maybe I didn't catch it. Is it based on a true story?
No, it's not. I mean, it's set on a fictional island that we call Egg Island, which I guess we got that from The Great Gatsby, and takes place during the Spanish flu in real time. We reference real characters, like Upton Sinclair appears in the movie. Woodrow Wilson, is mentioned various times, but the characters that we focus on in the film are all fictional.
Yeah, and the story is a total concoction of our imagination.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And
I was gonna say, if that was like that's based on a show, I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think if that was a real story, I think it was like the Spanish flu, made people go crazy, I guess, But so where did you guys shoot the movie? What were the locations you got?
We shot it in New Jersey, and the house that you see is actually 3 different houses. The exterior is one mansion, the interior is another mansion, and the pool is yet a third mansion. And if you've never been to New Jersey before, it looks exactly like that. All of New Jersey is this.
I've never been to New Jersey. I've been to New York. Yeah.
New Jersey is notorious for not looking that way, and most of it doesn't look that way. But there is a pocket that we found when we were scouting that's laden with these Gilded Age mansions. So we were sort of we were happy to find a few of them in such close proximity.
And how long did the principal photography took?
We shot 23 days, and then we did a B-roll day as well. So pretty tight. We were fortunate to be in few locations, and that's how we were able to pull it off. Because really the challenge with any indie film is that likely you don't have more than 25 days. And in that amount of time, if you have a lot of locations, it just kills you. Like doing company moves just gives you less time to shoot. And it's really hard to make a good film with a lot of locations.
We understand that, we are at the bottom of the indie level, man. When we shoot, it's like you got one day, how can we keep this in one space, one location, next to the pool? Shoot, go. You'll never come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's anytime an independent film gets made and seen by audiences, it's a miracle, because it really is one of the most difficult things to pull off, as you guys know.
Yeah. Oh
Very
yeah.
true.
We
Very true.
did like a short film not long ago, me and Tim here, and we shot it like in my house by the pool, one locations, and we're like, let's experiment with some CGI so we can cheat our way out of this. And
Yeah.
one day, one weekend, and finished, and of course, we got drunk by the end of the movie because we were using,
Cool. I wanna see it.
we were literally using real liquor.
Can we see it? Is there anywhere we could check it out?
Oh yeah, I'll send you the link. It's it's a comedy
Please.
thing. We were making fun of one topic. It's like, what if? And yeah, it didn't end well, but it was cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
do we get a chance to read the script? I want to see the script that you guys used to film this.
Yeah, we can send you the
Sure.
script. We don't get asked that very often these days.
Yeah,
but we would love
Actually, never. You're the first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Believe it or not.
I'm interested in the intricacies. I mean, we're students of the film. We're learning, like want to see something like this. And I was like, I want, because the way I write the scripts, I'm pretty sure it's completely not up to code with whatever is standard. But I wanted to see, like, read how did you guys, wrote your movie, and then how did you transpose it into, like, footage. That would be a cool. It's a lesson.
Yeah, we'll send it.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you when we get off.
Yeah, it's because a lot of these times, I mean, the great moments that you see on screen are actors in the moment listening to one another,
Yeah.
not necessarily saying the lines, but digging beneath and whatever is coming to them in that moment, embodying the subtext rather than the text. So and those spontaneous things, obviously you can't plan for them, and obviously on such a tight schedule, they it's a challenge to achieve, but they did it. I mean, because their artistry was on full display. But to see where it departs from the script is definitely
that was my next
lesson.
question. Like, Austin, is like, how strict are you as a director? Is like, when you have a script with adhering to like the very word to word, or what's your approach on that style?
I mean, it's really. I think in our ideal world, the film would be pretty close to the script that we wrote, but you end up and for better or for worse, you end up adapting it to your locations, to how your actors are vibing with the material, to notes that you get from them, from your producers, and so I like to think, and part of the challenge of being a good director is being able to control that and figure out which ideas are worth implementing, and being able to see ways to use all of this feedback, because you're going from the script where it's just you alone writing, and then suddenly you have 100 people on set and everybody has an idea, and part of the challenge is, and what makes it fun as well, is using that energy to improve your art, your vision. And so what I will say is that I think our film is relatively close to the script that we wrote, but is it the same? No. And I think it's better for that collaboration.
Out of curiosity, do you ever have like moments like you have the script and you wrote a scene, and then but the first time you run it with actors and you be like, the dialogue, it sounds good on paper, but when people are actually saying it, it doesn't land?
Yeah, I have had that on a couple of different times on different films, and on this film particularly, I think Peter Sarsgaard, he likes to improvise, and I remember one or two scenes feeling a bit flat during our rehearsals that he was able to improv and really improve them, and so that was great to see. I had another situation on another film years ago where we had a scene that on paper really seemed like a great scene, and it just was not working. And I did what I could on the set, but I never completely was able to save that scene.
I noticed the theme, the subtle theme, like in the movie, like you said, you have like the class struggle, like the class divide. Is there a commentary there about, you know, the current situations that we're going through?
Well, I mean, the ending sort of gives our commentary on on the classes. But Joseph, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's. I mean, when you see the movie, you'll definitely see, you know, parallels to the present, and that's absolutely intentional. And you know, we never thought of this as a pandemic movie or a plague movie. That's really just the initial shipwreck that gets these characters marooned on this deserted island, which in this case is a mansion.
yeah.
And it's what happens in this little social microcosm to this upstairs downstairs relationship when, you know, between the help and the, you know, the owners of the house, what happens to that when civilization stops functioning, if only for a brief while. So are these, you know, expectations that would normally apply when things are normal, do they apply in this more wild situation? And yeah, I mean, so it definitely, the corollaries to the present are more than intentional, and at root it's this civilization versus savagery divide and the comedy of that upstairs downstairs relationship. And I think in these large scale emergencies like COVID, it does show the fault lines of the American class system in with a candor that is otherwise more hidden than you would find in everyday life. So yes.
You couldn't have picked the perfect time with what's going on right now. So I guess your movie is gonna land with a punch.
That's the hope.
That
That's
is the hope.
definitely the hope.
Yeah, we have it's opening in 100 theaters and in all over the U.S. on August 2nd. So we're hoping you know, anyone listening to this will, you know, will come out and see it in a local theater. So we
You'll have a great time.
Don't worry. We're gonna drag everybody and anyone we know into it because
Awesome.
it's worth it.
Even
it's
people you
opening
don't
in
know.
Texas, in multiple cities in Texas. So
Yeah,
I do know that.
Awesome. Definitely be on the lookout for those.
Awesome.
and
I wanted to go back real quick at Austin. Like, how with your directing, are you, when you're directing an actor, like, are you more like hands on, if you will, for lack of a better term, on them on certain things, or do you like to like let them kind of like just go loose with the script for the most part?
I'm not hands-on, and you know, and the way that Joseph and I worked, we weren't hands-on in the way that we were that like incredibly prescriptive. We would work through the scenes and rehearsals and really hear the actors out, listen to their ideas, be very open to what they were doing with blocking. And by the same token, if that wasn't working for us, we were very careful to cut off. If we were veering in weird directions, we were very careful to cut that off quickly and explain exactly how we envisioned it and what we wanted out of the character and out of the scene. And so I think that worked well. But I think you do need that initial you know, beat of exploration where you allow the actors to interpret the scene how they interpret it without you putting your own stamp on it, and see where they take it. Because oftentimes they'll come up with cool stuff and you'll love it, and you'll be like, you know what, I hadn't pictured it that way, but that's actually better. And so without letting them do that first, then you never have the chance to have somebody else you're collaborating with really add something to it.
So, well, like, let them play with the idea and then start cutting, if you will.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Then...
Exactly. Like when you go in for rehearsals, you know, just they have the script. You've had your conversations about the character, obviously, to get them on board. But, you know, when you start reading through the scenes, like no direction, just let them do their thing and then ask them why they made those decisions. You know, I noticed that you played that scene like you were slightly jealous of, you know, your ex. Like, why did you do that? Like, why did you decide to play it that? And you kind of explore that and take it from there.
Do,
The best moments are those that happen spontaneously
yes.
between these actors, and by definition, you can't really plan for spontaneity except to maximize a creative freedom that the actors have. And it's that versus this insanely tight schedule that we're on. I mean, ideally, we would be there for the whole day on a scene and just make sure we can get every angle and then refine the ones but on this schedule, like the real tug of war is making your days versus making as best you can a masterpiece where no angle. So it's that balance where it's the crunch of time versus perfection.
Right.
This is probably like where we don't know how production at that level works, but out of curiosity, is the rehearsal time happens before you start filming, or is it like included in the principal photography time? How do you do the rehearsal?
We had a week of rehearsals before we started shooting. So we did our 23-day shoot. Before that, we had 5 weeks of prep. And the first 4 weeks were mainly spent with our crew. And the last week we had the actors in. And so we were rehearsing every day with them before. And so we went through all of the key scenes with them, and we did them individually. Like we'd work with just Peter or just Billy Magnussen or just Sarah Gadon. Then we'd bring them together and do combos. And we went through all of the important scenes. And then when you get on set, you have time for, your blocking, and you can rehearse a little bit. Generally we're shooting the rehearsals because digital doesn't really cost anything. And trying to work through the scenes then. But I think it's really important to block off a bit of time in prep just to work with the actors. So when you get in on the day, there's not any questions and issues that are arising from suddenly just exploring the material for the first time, because that's really difficult.
Cool.
And when he says a bit of time, it's like just shooting. I mean, what would you say, us? I mean, in a day, how many scenes do you think we would average? I mean, 3?
Two big
Yeah,
ones
I
and a
mean,
small one. You like two real scenes and like a
these
kind
are
of
12-hour days
phase
with
or
this
something like that.
little piece, for so a lot of what you see in the final cut is happening post rehearsal, but still spontaneously in the moment. If that makes any sense, because I mean, where's the real line between rehearsal and the real thing, other than the camera rolling? So and it's again, it's like that spontaneous moment is what can't be planned for, but is what we try to do our best to allow to happen.
That's cool. So you don't rehearse like every page of the script. You just pick
All the
big
important
moments.
pages, the important scenes. We not
Yeah.
every single scene, but we had enough time in prep to go through all of the ones that we felt like needed to be spoken about.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I guess you made us feel very primitive. You know how for us we don't.
Yeah,
you
that's
show
actually
up.
really good to know.
Yeah, be like, here's a page. Read this real quick. All right, roll it.
So, yeah, it's usually it's some sets like because well, obviously give the actors the scripts and whatnot, but it's usually like we'll show up early and like maybe have an hour and a half to like let them kind of rehearse, but then we're shooting like maybe an hour after that.
Yeah, you're shooting that day. It's tough if you.
Yeah.
It's risky because if you run into problems, then it's like there's not that much time to figure it out. Sorry, I'm just moving because my computer's dying.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of our shoots are definitely like that. Like you'll see it, and then the actor will kind of have to come in our own head. But if we're doing any improv or like you said, let them play with it, it's usually that day.
Yeah.
Which
One of the things, though, that is kind of necessary to get down is the blocking. So we do a blocking rehearsal, so we know how to then light the scene and almost strategically plan which angles in what order we're going to do.
So how was the movie received in Venice? How did you guys
Great.
do?
Yeah, Venice went really well. Felt like the audiences really responded to the film, and the press that saw it seemed to very much enjoy it. And so I would say it went as well as we could have reasonably hoped.
Yeah, I hope it
Nice.
gets good receptions, because I think the GOT committee, I don't think it got enough appreciation as it should.
Well, thank you.
At
Yeah.
least what I was aware of, and I was like, how come nobody's talking? Because the subject was really,
Yeah, I mean,
it took me by
it's so with
surprise.
indies, it's just tough to break through the noise. I mean, the God Committee ended up, critically, it did fairly well, and it ended up, Netflix ended up buying it, and when it went to Netflix, it became one of the top movies for like a month, and so that was really cool to
All
see
right.
and gratifying. Yeah, but during the theatrical, and granted, it was that release was a day and date release, so it was in theaters and on demand on the same day, and so it's really, with that, it's pretty much impossible to do well theatrically, and so it really caught fire when it got to Netflix. With this film, we're opening exclusively in theaters. It's getting a much larger theatrical release, so we're hoping that we could make some noise from the outset during the theatrical. And then later on, it's going to be on Hulu, and that'll be cool to see as well. So we do think it's going to reach an audience, and we're hoping that we reach the audience during the first window, which is when it's in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need
Right.
more movies like that. It's just it's hard now to skim through and try to find something with substance, to enjoy and stuff. There's too much garbage,
Yeah,
lack of better word, to sift through. And also, the climate and the condition of the situation, what's going on and all that. You need things that makes you a little bit think, or it
yeah.
gives
This
you a
is a
parallel.
cool movie because it's fun, but it also offers meaning if you're looking for it. So it has a social commentary, but at the same time, if you're not in the mood for that, you don't. It works on that other level where it's just like a fun movie.
And as a comedy, albeit a darker comedy, it's best enjoyed with a audience. And just because Austin and I have a deranged sense of humor, unlike other broad comedies, the let's call it the rhythm of the humor is a little offbeat, and your people laugh at different times. So seeing it with other people and seeing when laughter erupts from somebody is not necessarily when it's going to happen with other people. Some people laugh during the suspenseful moments, and vice versa. So it's a fun experience to share with people in front of a big screen.
Wow.
That is very true. Uh, Recently had like a little premiere for when me and my roommate for our film that we were just now going through a distributor, going through that process,
Mm.
which has been an eye-opening experience. But we just basically rented out a theater for all the cast and crew to watch the film, whatnot. And I would say that experience, like, it's different because like we film it, and then I'm the audio guy, so I'm doing all the audio and the re-recording and all that stuff, and he's doing all the like actual edits and whatnot. And it is interesting to see what hits and what lands and what doesn't when like you're in the theater and everyone's sitting there watching and laughing at things you didn't think was funny, and then things you'd be surprised that someone like certain jokes land, or whatever the scene is. So
Mm.
yeah, that's definitely an eye-opening
It's
experience.
just, yeah. It was astonishing because we went through periods of test screening to see if what we're communicating makes sense to anyone but ourselves. And even without
Right.
laughter, you can empathically feel if the audience is comprehending, or is at least getting the subtleties of moods and emotion without any facial reaction or anything. It's really this it's almost telekinetic in some bizarre way, but it's massively important to go through that experience, because otherwise we don't know what's just existing in our own demented minds and what's actually capable of landing in other people's demented minds.
Right, right. Like throwing bread in a pond and seeing what like bites and what works and what doesn't, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Austin,
that's pretty cool.
And feel what works and what doesn't.
since you made since you dabbled a little bit with the political topics in the movie, from the runner, uh
Mm-hmm.
and now what you see happening, do you see your next project to be in that frame?
Actually, no. Joseph and I are writing a script right now, and it's not political at all. And yeah, it's a sci-fi romance, sort of in the vein of I guess like a Spike Jonze film, like Her or Charlie Kaufman in that world, surrealistic sci-fi romance, and so totally different, cool in its own way. So we're excited about that.
Because
I don't even know what is the political anymore, to be honest.
Because I was gonna say,
I tried to understand it, but then
and I was gonna say, with the climate, what's happening right now, you guys have been handed like a plate full of material. If you wanna dip into that.
Oh God!
But
when you watch this, I would be very curious how if you see any sort of prophetic aspects apropos the political.
Oh yeah.
So that's all I'll say. But I mean, see what you see.
And then since you're going,
there's an aspect to the film that's almost a political Rorschach test, where what you bring to it, you're going to land in a different, depending on what you bring to it, you're going to read it differently than somebody who's bringing some other political notion to it.
So Austin, since you said you're doing sci-fi, does this mean you're gonna tackle AI?
Where are we? Is AI a theme in the film? It's more AR, yeah. I guess.
We're going to have AI write and direct and act the whole film. We're just programming. We're just telling ChatGPT.
Oh, please, please don't do that. I think AI. I don't think AI is capable of writing.
Thematically, it's not really AI in the film. I guess there's AI reference, but it's not really about AI at all. Thank God.
All right.
We're going to see a lot of that soon. Even more.
That is true. Is there going to be like a lot of practical effects, or
there's going to be a lot of VFX in the film for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but
we kind of have to with anything sci-fi related.
Yeah, where the technology in our film is like it's like a very futuristic augmented reality, and the ability. Yeah, so there is going to be some sort of some VFX.
So Joseph, since you're a writer, let me harass you for a minute. What do you think of the whole AI writing stuff now?
I missed the first part of the question since
I said, since you're a writer, what's your take? What's your take on the threat or a perceived threat of AI in the writing business?
I actually do. In terms of creative writing, I think the threat is overstated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the illusion of comprehension is certainly uncanny and astonishing when it comes to ChatGPT. But in terms, and I think it's capable of synthesizing various sources so good that we tend to forget that it's more like a autocorrect, like or an autofill of what you're about to say, as opposed to a human intuition working by analogies and capable of bringing disparate things through metaphor and narrative, and especially irony. I mean, we say humor and irony is lost in text messages.
Yeah.
I mean, until you have a grasp of those aspects of emotion and can create them as opposed to plagiarize them, you can never actually create a sequence, a fictional sequence of events that transmit emotion and mood. But you can, what you can do, and what I think as a tool, what it's helpful for as a writer, is in that free association process. If you just asked it a question, if Austin just said, spit me out a story of a sci-fi romance with AR or something, and kind of like some Spike Jonze, some whatever it is, and then you read it, it's not going to be good at all, but it can inspire something good from the human mind that you may have not thought of had you just been free associating yourself. But by that logic, anything is fodder for free. So
Well,
walking down the
it
street,
only the AI. First of all, Claude is like a million times better than ChatGPT. But the AI.
Perplexity.
What's that?
Perplexity. I'm voting for is my
Perplexity.
favorite.
That. But you know, it really like you have to give. You have to do a lot of work in order to get the AI to do any useful work. So it ends up being you in the first place, and if you want anything of quality from the AI.
No, I agree. I think what you said, Joseph. Yeah, everybody is having like a misplaced panic attack about something that is not, because I tested it. I used it and it was like, yeah, I can give you ideas and everything, but nothing is going to come close to a customized something that with precision. That you write a script and then you keep changing it and everything. It can't keep up with that. And then there's also, like real world perspective and you're changing things and doing stuff. You can't just push a button and have it. Okay, here you go, done. Let's go shoot. That's not going to work.
I don't think that's going to work. I think it's
maybe
it's
for
not
like a
gonna...
B movie, like a shark movie or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like trying to do Jaws, like the mega shark movie. I'm sure it could.
Yeah.
Wait, is that how Sharknado became?
Yeah, like something like that. If you're like,
well, that's the thing. I mean, you need the sharks plus the NATO. You need the
I know, but if you have a concept, you're like, all right, we're going to do a movie that's like Jaws with bigger sharks that have been like genetically modified, and write me a script, and the protagonist. I'm sure it could probably handle that.
At that point, it's just
okay, but it's a good example. So, but I think there's and especially those movies and B horror movies. It's one of the most self-aware genres that's aware of from Scream, even Texas. It knows it's a movie. Even with this, the trilogy that's out now. But I think there are elements of parody in that self-awareness that's in Sharknado and in Snakes on a Plane. It's so having fun with being
you're talking about the successful ones, though. I mean, if you're just talking about writers losing their job, like it's probably capable of doing all the shitty ones that like you see. Anyway.
Okay, but I mean, I would say even at least the shitty ones I've seen, whose name because they're shitty, I don't even remember. I still think there's this element of crazy gore self-parody, and that tonality, can't be brought by an AI. Like that's the human aware. It's a human aware that he's writing in a genre, aware of itself as a genre, and there's some meta thing going on that. AI, but I think other people should be afraid of AI. Google should be afraid of ChatGPT and Perplexity.
I mean, I think, like you said, it was right. I mean, it can come up with a lot of plot points for you, but here's the weak point: AI and all that stuff, they can never handle dialogue. Dialogue would be the fall pit for it. I mean, we're talking here, and we can have the same conversations. Pause again, come back, and we will say different things, different words. And all of us here, we can write that script and then we can keep like circling around it. There is no formula to land that thing. You can't capture that. It's impossible.
Yeah, so, agreed.
Yeah, that's where it all lands. And,
like that classic trying to write for a sibling but never had a sibling. Like, hey, bro, or hey, sis, what's up? Like, nobody says that to their sibling.
No human being talk like that. Yeah. Oh man.
What's up, sis?
Well, thank you guys so much for popping up. And
thank you guys for popping.
Thank you
Spread
so much.
the word about COUP August 2nd in a theater near you. And if for some reason it's not in a theater near you, then it's on VOD September 2nd.
Yeah.
So.
And I expect a link to watch this film.
Yes,
tonight.
I'll send you a link. Send us your film. We'll check it out.
Yeah, we expect a link too.
Hey, or maybe next time next time we'll come and visit you in New York, man.
Awesome. Yeah, totally. If you come in, let's get a drink.
I'm going to come in, have a drink, and I'm going to pitch you a movie so you can produce my film.
Awesome.
All right.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
And Joseph, I'm going to send you my script.
I'd love.
So you can laugh at it.
I'll give it to the AI, and I'll
so you can laugh.
tell the AI to.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you
Thank
next
you, guys.
time.
You're welcome.
You too.